Sup, bitch. So, I designed another Celestials hero. This time his name is Thornbite, or Thornbite, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not the best at it. I'm noticing the sun is a little bit on my screen, but you can still kind of see him, so that won't be too much of a problem. So, Thornbite over here is a nature type character, as you can see, and he looks a little bit scary, but he's actually a good guy. He's not like a villain or anything. So, for attacks, this time I'm gonna talk about the attacks first. He would have a lot of interesting things he could do, because you can tell he's kind of like a weird looking creature, and he would be able to, for example, extend his limbs, because you can tell he's kind of like a plant monster. And like in movies and like that Ben 10 plant monster, a lot of them can do that. And he'd be able to do all sorts of crazy things with it. But, first of all, you're probably wondering, what are those weird things on his back? Well, if you think about like an alien facehugger from Xenomorphs, it's kind of like that, but on his back, and it's like part of his spine, basically. So he has these almost facehugger-like little legs that kind of act as ribs as well, so they can wrap around his torso, on the lower part at least, and they act kind of like ribs, but then he can extend them out and use them like little crawling leg thingies, so he looks pretty creepy, but he's actually friendly. And so his main thing would be that he would be able to crawl around everywhere. Now, I did already feature a villain, Arachnus, as you know, could also crawl around, but that was more limited. He was just more like crawling on the walls, and he wouldn't do that much. But this is like this guy's entire thing. So he would, because you can tell, like it's on the back, on his back where the legs are, the little like insect legs. He would be able to also twist them around, just like Arachnus. So these things are actually really strong. So he would be free. He would still have his two hands available, whilst like hanging on the ceiling with these things or crawling around on the wall. So you can tell it's pretty scary. And then you also have to take in mind he can like extend his limbs. Because again, he's like a plant monster. His arms are like poisonous vines. So, he would also be able to chomp up his victims. He would be able to eat them. His, how do you say it? His spit is a little bit like acidic, but not too much. You can see here he also has some like poisonous, how do you say it, stingers on his plant-like arms, and then he has some thorns to attack with as well. And then his main way of actually like injuring his victims would be with the claws. So he has these big, almost lobster-like claws that are like hardened, sort of like plant-like material. Just how in real life you would have like plants with really hard parts. It's kind of like that, so you can tell like this is a bit of a different color because it transitions into like the shell of the crab claws. And so you can tell these things are really strong and sharp, so he would just be able to cut through a lot of things, just grab someone by the neck and just decapitate them. So it's pretty horrific looking. And he would also be able to attack by, how do you say it? So like I said, he could extend his arms like a vine. So you can imagine this gets pretty crazy because he could grow a lot of arms like from his how do you say it, his body, and he could just start attacking people with it. He could wrap around them with his vine arms, and then he could cut through their entire body by growing giant thorns through the vines. So they would go through the body and basically pierce through everything. And then also he has some some like venomous sharp edges on his arms. So he would probably have that on his vine arms as well, if he extends his arms out. Then, wait, what else could he do? So he would crawl around, he would wrap around you with vines, then maybe cut you, eat you. And I feel like that's most of the things. Yeah, that's most of the things he would actually do. But then also on his back, you'll notice he has this weird lump here. That's actually just dark moss on his back, so that's moss growing. And I don't exactly know yet what he could do with this, but maybe it could like Maybe he could just use it to poison or like release like toxins in the air or something. But that's just a little idea I had. It's not certain yet. So yeah, this is like a guy that crawls around everywhere, can wrap around you from afar and then just pierce through you with thorns or just claw you off or eat you. Pretty dangerous, and he's also a bit toxic. And punching him would be pretty painful, judging from all the thorns on his body. Okay, and then for some of the backstory, Thornbite would have a pretty simple backstory. So you know how in Celestials there are multiple planets, all resembling the elements. And he would probably come from like the nature planet where everything is like fauna and flora, so everything is like based on plants or whatever. And he would probably be one of the monsters found here because there's pretty horrific creatures as well. But he would kind of act like a bit of a sentient plant, but in a good way. Like he wouldn't be evil, although he looks pretty intimidating. He wouldn't be. And so maybe on like a mission or something, one of the heroes would find him still as like a much smaller plant, like still growing, and he'd want to keep it as his pet, and then it grew into this or something, and he could tell it was like smart enough to like basically he's almost as smart as a human, but he can't really talk or whatever. But it's like you know he's he's aware of the situation, he's following what you say, like he can yeah, he's sentient basically. And so he would become part of the hero force, so pretty simple. But of course, people would, at first, the people he would save would be a bit scared of him, but eventually, this is with a lot of other heroes as well that look a bit intimidating. People would get to know him as a hero, and his reputation would be saved basically. And then to analyze the design, if you look closely, so he's like a mostly. Oh yeah, also real quick, go to the link in the description to support me on Patreon. But so you can tell he's like a plant-based monster. He kind of looks like that plant monster from Mario, but 18 plus, PG 18. So first he has some little legs with some thorns on it, pretty simple. Then he has like this really tall, lanky, crooked body. With here he has like the facehugger insect legs that can wrap around him, and he can use to crawl. He has the moss on his back. Then he has two little plant like accents here on his chest. I mean under his chest. Then here you can see this is like a little bit like I don't know what it's called, the sternum or something, like the part in your chest. There's some more thorns growing out here. Then he has a little bit of that planting on his head, like the red is growing a little bit here as well. He has a long neck. He's got some spit coming out here. He's drooling a little bit with some sharp teeth. And then here he has some more thorns with also some like toxic sharp edges. The red ones are the toxic parts. And then it transitions over to the claws, the big strong claws. You can tell they look really durable. So I know I find it funny that I kind of created a hero that is supposed to be a good guy, but he looks like he would probably eat you alive just because he's a little bit hungry for a midnight snack. Um, so pretty funny. So yeah, big guy that crawls around everywhere, wraps tendrils around you, and just pierces through you and claws you to death. Pretty funny. Pretty interesting. So I really enjoyed making this. So I hope you liked it too. And you know drill. There we go. I hope you liked the video and see you in the next one. Bye, bitch.